Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I am Brea Thorn, and it is currently September 27th. That is the day that AMD's new Ryzen Zen 4 platform, this Ryzen 7000 series, goes live, along with, of course, the X670 chipset and motherboards and all the things that you pretty much need to get that new platform from AMD. And we have, thanks to AVADirect, a system that is going to be an absolute monster for getting that Zen 4 experience. And I'll go over the specs in a bit, but I really do want to thank AVADirect for going out of their way to make sure we get this on launch day, because right now I'm actually live streaming. We're going to be giving this thing some benchmarks, some stress testing. We're going to test some synthetic benchmarks, game testing benchmarks, things like that. And it's going to be an absolute blast. So stick around. Let's check it out. I'm not sure what these things are. I've got two accessory boxes here. This is interesting. Let's see what this stuff looks, what we got here in these two accessory boxes. I am very interested. Yeah, so there's a bunch of fan stuff. This is different right here because you don't usually get the stock fans out of something when you're getting it from a system integrator. It looks like we're getting that here, and that may be a consistent thing for them. These are your Wi-Fi antenna here. Okay, so we have all of our literature for all of the stuff. Man, if they send this stuff with every PC, that is very impressive that they're sending all of these things, basically for every single component in here. Now remember, some of these things that I'm getting here will be subject to whichever case you choose, okay? So if you choose a different case, you're gonna get whatever accessories come with that case. Like Fantech has their little, something like this, where you have all of your case screws in an organized container. And I'm guessing that this is what Lee & Lee is doing now. And that's super cool. Look at that. Look at this. Wait, how much did they send me? Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut. Pretty much my go-to when it comes to thermal paste. MX4 is good too, but this is gonna be for your higher performance desktops. It can net you some gains there. Yeah, not a little bit. That's a good amount. What else we got in here? Some drive trays, or a drive tray. And this is gonna be the GPU sag bracket. I'm interested in that they didn't actually utilize this, but that means we can if we want to. Looks like we have a fan hub here, RGB hub actually, that specifically states RGB hub. Looking at more stuff here, be quiet. This is the stuff from the power supply, it looks like, I can tell. Extra combs from the extension kit right here. And this, boy, what could this possibly be? And why is it not in the PC? Yes, this, my friends, is the absolutely bonkers cable extension that you get with a 3090 Ti Founders Edition. So, one thing I'm not seeing here that you will see from many other system integrators, and something that I suggest basically copying, is that many will put a sticker over this. And you want a sticker that's not going to be just a paper sticker that'll just rip and leave a lot of residue. There are very specific types that cover this up, and it says, important, do not plug in your HDMI here, plug your HDMI in down here on the GPU. And that right there can save you a whole lot of, trouble calls. Now, I would go into a lot of detail about the case itself, but this case has been very thoroughly reviewed, and it did amazingly in the review from Gamers Nexus. And if you know, you know. Gamers Nexus is the channel to go to for case reviews. So one of the cool things about the LANcool 3 is the way that you open the doors, and that is like this.
Nope.
There we go. But yeah, you just turn, that's it. On both sides, the whole piece of this front panel, on each side of the front panel, is how you open the actual doors. Very, very cool. For one thing, you'll notice my name on there. I don't think they intend for me to send this thing back, which is just absolutely amazing. Thank you guys. To my audience though, of course, as I said, that's not going to affect my reviewing of it or anything like that. That's not how it works. And I was not paid for any of this content. But we also have a warning here. Important, read before opening. So let's do that. Some of you guys who aren't familiar with my content, or me pretty much, you may notice that during this, my hands will shake. That's not a big deal. I have something called essential tremors. And it's not a serious thing, but it does mean that my hands shake, especially when I'm focusing on something specifically or lifting anything heavy. It's not a serious condition, but it is a persistent one. Not really anything I can do about it. But I've gotten some concerned comments about that before. It's not a big deal, but that is what it is. I know I'm not nervous. I'm a little bit beyond stage fright at this point. If you find that there's more than one Instapack in here, you may want to get a magic marker and mark the order in which you take them out, and then if you're packing it back up, you can then put it in reverse. Now you want to remove these things carefully. It can be pretty easy for these to snag on a cable and pull it out. And right here we have our number 1, and then you might mark this number 2, number 3, number 4. There's a lot in here. But I do see a real chonker of a Founders Edition card in here, and that of course is the 3090 Ti. Let's take a little tour through the system. Basically, when AVADirect wanted to spec out the system, they didn't choose how to spec it out. They asked me, all right, so what do you think? What would you like? And I was like, all right, this might be a long shot, but how about we do this? And they were like, yeah, okay, sure, all right. And now here we are with the absolute best case scenario. Get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? I get it. Okay. Because we have cooling from every angle, and if you've been watching the Zen 4 reviews, you'll know that almost every single reviewer used a 360mm all-in-one liquid cooler, or an AIO that has a 360mm radiator. Well, guess what? We ain't going for no piddly 360. This is the Corsair H170i 420mm AIO. That's right, 420mm of radiator for when you want to do the opposite of blazing it. This is something custom ordered for the system, and it is the Corsair, the Elite LCD. It would have had the LCD, but it would have been a black plastic enclosure around it. So instead, we went for the H170i Elite Capellix with the regular RGB LED cover, and they actually ordered for me the white CPU cover. They custom painted the radiator to match it to the white system. In fact, they were waiting on the white AIO tube sleeves to really make this system match color-wise. However, those didn't come in on time. We have 3 140mm Corsair QL140s in the front, just gulping in air for this system. We have 3 Corsair QL140s on the radiator, exhausting tons of heat from the top. To feed the 3090 Ti, we have 3 Corsair QL120s. Those can be mounted, of course, to the PSU shroud. And the bottom, or the side of the PSU shroud, is actually a mesh door. There is mesh here, which also acts like a dust filter. And as you can see, there's plenty of opening in here for these to just pull in fresh air. The motherboard in question here is an MSI X670-P, the Pro version here. Now, the goal was actually to get the Edge Wi-Fi motherboard, X670E. However, there was not yet a BIOS for that until today, and that meant they couldn't test it. One thing here is that this G.Skill memory, this is 64 gigs of DDR5 6000, but it is not Expo certified. This is XMP certified. So we were supposed to get a kit of RAM drop shipped from Team Group that was going to be Expo certified. That hasn't arrived, but this absolute chonktastic Founders Edition RTX 3090 Ti. Now, why go for that kind of power for the GPU if what we're testing is a CPU? Well, we're trying to, as much as we can anyway, remove any GPU bottlenecks to let the CPU shine on as much as possible to get the most accurate results, so that we're not looking at a GPU bottleneck. Now, of course, for gaming testing, your GPU is the most important component, and there's no getting around that. So take that as you will. Of course, the Ryzen 7950X. Interestingly, I believe I actually have an engineering sample in here, because this is the one that they were able to get on time, or they had already, that they'd been using for testing, or one of them, I suppose. And they weren't gonna have the retail ones in time to build this out, test it, and then ship it. So never had an engineering sample CPU before, but it's under that. And for storage, we have 2 Samsung 980 Pros, one in 1 terabyte form, another in 2 terabytes. And not sure which heat spreader that's under, but we have the 1 terabyte right down here. And on the back, I can show you, we have a Samsung 4TB 870 QVO. When I suggested the Corsair fans, I immediately apologized. Corsair does not make for easy cable management, because we also talked about Lee and Lee fans. But when it comes to RGB, if you want the brightest and most intense RGB, Corsair does it like no one else does. But that means tons more cable management. But I gotta say, it's managed. And it doesn't look like everything is just shoved in. Everything is zip tied nicely. They used the built-in cable management stuff. They didn't just zip tie a trunk of cables and then force the door in, because you really can't do that here. So I would say that this is not just a good job, this is a fantastic job, and I'm sure those DIYers out there would agree with me.
Do you want to see RGB?
Oh my goodness. Woo, buddy. Oh, there it goes. I was like, what are these? What are those doing? Those are not, my God, look at that. Now, one thing I do like about the 12VH power connector, whenever you had, if you did this kind of style of run for your cable, where it comes from the bottom into the connectors, and you had 3 8-pin power connectors, you could actually block some airflow to the cooling solution for your GPU. In this case, though, you just have this, 12 plus 4 pin cable here, and it's gonna do the whole job for you. That's not gonna block any airflow, and it does look quite nice when you get an aftermarket one. As long as it's from a reputable company, you should be good. Oh no, it says something went wrong. Yeah, I don't have it hooked up to the internet. I might have to, though. I should also turn on my mouse. It's just not showing anything. It's not giving me any options unless I plug in the internet. It's just blank buttons. What the heck is this? Now, there are 2 different methods of flashing your BIOS. You can use BIOS flashback, which is where you don't even need a CPU or RAM on the motherboard in order to flash the BIOS. It does it all internally, and you do it without interacting with the BIOS itself. However, we don't need to do that. And also, some motherboards don't have that feature, but I'm fairly certain it's becoming more and more available on more motherboards. But here, we're actually going to go into the BIOS to do it. Oh, look, it's right there under custom colors. That's why I did that. There we go. Hey, look at that. There we have it. I gotta say, the screen on the Corsair LCD is a lot higher. It seems a lot higher resolution than on the Z73 or the Z series of coolers from NZXT. So we're ready to roll, guys. Let's get this going. Let's get started on some testing, yeah? Now this is with, I don't know that we have Precision Boost PBO2 running right now. But let's just get this going, and let's do some heat soak on this thing. You can imagine a 420 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler. It takes a while to achieve heat soak. So let's get it running. Okay, do that, bam. Let's do one run under multi-core. Oh yeah, look at all those tiles rendering. So many tiles, so fast. Okay, remember something about AMD Zen 4. It is supposed to hit around just over 95 degrees Celsius, and then it's going to look at what it can do from there. Our maximum frequency was 5.5, and yeah, it looked like it dropped. It basically averaged out to over 5 gigahertz right there. Look at that score, 37,471, beating the pants off a previous 32 core, 64 thread Threadripper processor. Of course, that's a pretty old processor at this point. Holy jeez. But yeah, don't let that scare you. That is the design of Zen 4. That was made clear. It's been made clear in several different content creators' videos. where basically the thermal design for it is to basically just max out to between 90 and 95 degrees Celsius, and then see what the heck your cooling system can do. So for those of you who haven't seen all the many videos that are out today, that may seem like a bad thing to you. Well, no, it's not. It's just the way it's designed. So what we can do now is we have this score, right? Recorded now, of course, in posterity with the recording that we're doing. So I just need to basically turn on PVO2 and see how it does. Precision Boost Overdrive, it is already enabled. Okay, guess what? That is AVADirect doing that for you, okay? I mean, all we're doing here is we're going to memory and turning on Auto XMP. There we go. Now it's on. I don't think I clicked that off. It was already not highlighted before, but it's on now. There we go. Anyway, all right. So the theoretical maximum boost clock here is 5850, 5,850 megahertz, or 5.85 gigahertz on this CPU. That all depends on the cooling, and I'm pretty sure that's only going to really be attainable steadily with something like amazing custom liquid cooling. Let's get back into Cinebench, and we're going to do the long one. We're going to do 10 minutes. I'm not doing 30 minutes. No, we should be able to achieve heat soak in about 5. But we're going to run this, and we're going to do our minimum test duration of 10 minutes right there. And we'll hit this right there so we get a refresh. Oh, look at that. Wow. That's going to look awful because basically it's all going to be in the red, but this is by design, guys. 36,763. You can expect over a longer test like that you'll get a bit of a lower score, and I believe we did, because it's gonna keep heating up. And most workloads like this will not last that long. One of the benefits of this case is to have this mesh on the side panel, on the side of the PSU shroud here, to have fresh air come through these fans directly into our 3090 Ti. So we're gonna go ahead and run FurMark for a while, see how that does. And then, my favorite test, we can run FurMark and Cinebench at the same time. It's not as important as it was for the Skytech review because they don't have the radiator mounted to the front as intake. Shout out Zach, by the way, for going the extra mile to custom paint the radiator here to match the white build. And these are the kinds of things that they can do for you as well, if you're trying to get that ultimate build. But yeah, they went the absolute extra mile here, and they will do that for anybody. They were aware, of course, that I cannot be bought with a PC or with money dollars. There's no payment for this review or the review video that's going to come out. That if I found any issues, I would certainly make those very clear. However, I couldn't find an issue with this build. The cable management, stellar. The configuration, I mean, of course, we worked together on that. The only thing I'm experiencing is a little flicker in the RGB now and then, so in the shipping, there may have been a loose cable. If anyone's ever cable managed a Corsair fan layout, you know there's a lot of cables that could go loose. Okay, and we are starting it up. But yeah, I mean, you look right here, 99% usage. That is what FurMark is meant for. That's what it does. Yeah, core clocks over here, casually sitting over 5 gigahertz. Look at this. Look at this. 5.447, just chilling on Core 8. Which, by the way, if you're confused as why it shows 15 cores, it's because it starts at 0. Just if you're unfamiliar with this. So it is 16 cores, 32 threads, of course. All right. Well, it might trip the breaker, but let's do it. I mean, that's what happened to Linus. It's going to take forever to render the image. You think so? Because it's a CPU benchmark. I don't think it'll take forever. I think, as a matter of fact, it's going to run super fast. Yeah, kind of like that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We are slamming the GPU, slamming the CPU. And it wants to install game-ready drivers. Oh, that's my PC. That's my PC. Never mind, you can't even see that. That was on my streaming PC. Woo, buddy. Oh yeah. What's our wattage on the CPU? Of course, remember, it's gonna jump up to 95. That's part of the thermal design, power design of the CPU. And yeah, 228 watts was the maximum, 220 watts, 200 now between runs, of course, jumps right back up
221 watts, there you go. And our average is now jumping up to let's see, our current usage across the board, over 5 gigahertz on the CPU. GPU still pushing 448 watts. Can these guys build a solid system? I think the answer is yes. Look at that. GPU temps stayed, they dropped a fraction of a degree Celsius. Remember, this is not as, we don't have the radiator fans directly being run by this like we did before. I think they actually had that separate on the Skytech system, so that affected GPU temperatures more drastically. And let me tell you guys, this thing is not loud. Corsair fans, when they do run at a higher RPM, they're tuned to have a nice sort of audible frequency. It sounds pretty good to me. It sounds fine. It's not like, and I'm not hearing GPU coil whine or anything. So what we're gonna do now is we are going to, we can run a single core test. We can literally just run it in the background, but we're not gonna run 10 minutes of that. That's not really gonna teach us anything. Sure, there you can get your single core test. That's super helpful in my opinion, but because it's already been done. But it looks like it's jumping around. It's going back, being passed back and forth between the first core and basically the sixth core, and it's going back and forth. That is very interesting. That's fascinating stuff, man. So to manage temperatures and maximize frequencies, it can pass the workload back and forth. Hell yeah, I love it. I don't know if that's part of the design of Cinebench or Zen 4, but hey, I'll take it. So this just finished. So at basically the maximum that I saw wattage-wise, I mean, if there's anything in the footage that said anything higher, we can check it, but the maximum I saw was 14 watts, half the wattage, and a good 33% boost in performance just about over this 11th gen, granted an 11th gen processor on that single core test. So there you go, there's your score. 1,943 points, single core score on there. And that is while some of the system resources were being used. There's extra heat inside there, you know, from the GPU running. Generally, I would have run that by itself, but no, we ran it at the same time. And guys, anytime you're gonna make any hardware changes, what do? Unplug, first you switch off your power supply and unplug it. AVADirect, I found one issue, one thing that I would recommend, because I'm actually gonna have to open the accessory box. The mounts for M.2 drives, go ahead and put those on the motherboard. Too easy to lose those, because I cannot mount an M.2 drive until I put that on myself now. So I would just go ahead and put that there and be done with it. Do you ever wish you had like monkey feet so you could grab stuff with your toe? Is that just, never mind. Okay, settings. Just to make sure I have this on, there we go. Graphics, well, video, what do we got in video? So we're gonna be pinned to 60 FPS. This is on HDMI, so that would be 120. See, it automatically set, oh, it was already on Ray Tracing Ultra. Like, no, not Ultra, I don't run Ray Tracing Ultra. I guess it just automatically set it to that, but sure, let's run that. DLSS auto? No, zero DLSS. We're doing native resolution, baby. This is trying for any, this is what I'm saying. Ultra sucks. Ultra settings are awful. Like, they're not optimized, and it just tries to do too much. But we're gonna test this versus DLSS. Although I was really excited to get this PC on launch day and be able to live test it, apparently the embargo for review videos lifted the day before launch. So until I'm on that list to get hardware and have a video ready for you guys, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be a day late, buck short, but still, I don't care. Because it's amazing to have this thing on day one. And besides, the focus of this is not just testing the 7950X. That's been done far better than I could, because they've been doing it for 10 years or so over at Gamers Nexus and stuff like that. No, this is an overall test of an AVADirect system that they sent to make sure I had on day one, so I could do some testing and sort of play catch up with my contemporaries in the field who are much larger than I am and therefore are worthy of getting stuff early. But I was told by AMD, now I do have contacts there now, depending on how this went, that we might be looking at getting RDNA 3 early. I feel like I am miles away from getting anything early from NVIDIA. It's a little late for that now anyway. The best we can hope for is that someone out there sends me a system with a 4090 or something on launch day, but it's a bit late for that, isn't it? Launches on the 12th. Oh, there's something I didn't even mention that I should have mentioned way earlier. One of my favorite things about Zen 4 is the fact that every CPU comes with onboard graphics. Every one of them. There's no more having to wait for APUs. Are they for gaming? No. Do they have RDNA 2? Yeah, and that's good, but it's only 2 compute units. It's really just what they had on hand, and they put a couple in there so that you can troubleshoot, or for like business-oriented systems, for business work, things like that, checking your email, things like that. Not really for gaming at all. Like seriously, I think Cuddles is gonna quit when he sees that he has a 4-hour video to edit and that's not the entirety of the stream. Cuddles gonna quit. I know! Please don't quit, Cuddles. We love you, man. Go ahead and sound off in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Because it is a live stream, but also the videos too. Anything that you think would add to the videos, absolutely. I know I'm not running a ton of benchmarks. It is very late, and I can run more later potentially, but the whole point was really to show the system, how it works, stress testing it, things like that. Gaming benchmarks are already out there, but gaming testing the 7950X, it's not really a gaming CPU. We already know it's on top of the charts. But then again, so is 5800X 3D when it comes to gaming. That means this is not a choice, not the best choice at all for a gaming PC. Look to some, if you want to have a good blend of really high performance gaming and multi-threaded processes, compute power, content creation, things like that, the 7900X is a better option, very likely, if you don't do anything professionally. And when it comes to video editing, 3D rendering, 3D design, things like that. And definitely the 3090 Ti is sort of the outgoing top dog of GPUs with the 4090 on the way by October 12th. So, but this is still going to be a powerhouse for content creation. I will put it to that use 100%. But I'd like to know if any of you guys who are watching this would find that this would be an appropriate system for you, because when you're looking at doing something professionally, you can spend a lot on your PC and then, write it off. It's a business expense. So something that's going to be north of $5,000 can actually make sense, because you're going to save time. And what is time if you're working? Time is money. But at that link in the description, you'll find that there is this system. Yes, if you want to go absolutely crazy. But there's also a mid-tier system curated by Joe over there at AVADirect to make a lot of sense as a mid-tier system. Because the page isn't live during the time of the stream, I'm actually excited to see what he put together. So we'll check that out. And there is a custom landing page at avadirect.com/Brayathorn. I want to thank them for throwing that together. I haven't gotten to look at it yet. It's not up yet. So we'll see what that looks like. But they just wanted to have something for the audience, for the audience, for the community to be able to go see, and they immediately, they'll see me there and be like, okay, cool. This is the system he had. Bam. Not sure it's going to say Brayathorn across it. If you get the system that's spec'd out just like mine, that's probably something that you can work out with them. Okay. So let's check the Blender benchmark. So what we're looking at, that's how this is measured, is in samples per minute. I don't have anything to compare this to, but what we're going to be comparing this to is the 13900K when we have it. The Monster benchmark got 293.8 samples per minute. That's about 294. 176.5 samples per minute in junk shop, and in classroom 138.78, or pretty much 139 samples per minute. If you're jumping on this train early, understand that you're going to be dealing with some weirdness. But according to Jay, who, I mean, he's tested all of this stuff, and over generation, this is one of the most stable new launches from AMD for Ryzen that he's seen. So yeah, there's gonna be some weirdness, but it's not as bad as it could have been. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Drop a comment below. Like the video. This was a lot of work, but it was fun. Drop a like if you liked it, and I will see you guys in the next video or at TwitchCon. Take care.